We're going to kick things off with oil prices. Good news, great news. Been waiting a while for this. Trump was right about everything. It seems like he's right more often than he's not right. At the very least, U.S. oil prices have dropped to $83 a barrel following the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. It's been open for at least a couple of days now, and we've got more fantastic news coming out of that region. So CFDs on WTI crude oil has taken a massive plunge from earlier today, spiking or sitting around at $87, and just hours prior it was like $88, almost $90 a barrel, and then it took a tank all the way down to $83.49. It's probably going to keep going down and down some more in the coming days because we've got more very interesting news from Rapid Response 47. Trump's Truth Social account. Iran has agreed to never close the Strait of Hormuz again. It will no longer be used as a weapon against the world. President Donald J. Trump. He follows that up with Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all sea mines. Thank you, President DJT. And straight from the White House, the Strait of Hormuz is completely open and ready for business. Strait of Hormuz. But the naval blockade, it will remain in full force, though, and effect as it pertains to Iran only until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. This process should go very quickly in that most of the points are already negotiated. And by that, I believe that they're still on a 10-point deal. I think the 10 points was set by Iran, so we're trying to get to the middle ground. And as they have been saying all week, almost all of the points have been agreed to. The only one that they keep hinting is with regard to nuclear. I guess that we're not quite there. There's absolutely no question, no wiggle room there whatsoever. It's a non-starter. If Iran wants nuclear weapons, it's just simply not going to happen. So it sounds like it's either all-out conflict or back to peace times. But Iran, you can't have nuclear weapons. That's it. And I guess we'll see what ends up happening. We got another one. The USA will get all nuclear dust, quote unquote dust, created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form, unlike the Obama era. This deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but the USA will separately work with Lebanon and deal with the Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Thank you, President DJT. Sounds to me like that was probably an olive branch that the United States handed over to Israel, or not Israel, to Iran. I don't know how Israel feels about it. I don't know if they're probably pissed off about it. I have no idea. Not really sure. I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to affairs in Lebanon. I just know that Israel's been bombing them for a while. And I think he might have misspelled Hezbollah. It looks like he said Hezbollah. Hezbollah. Anyway, let's move on. A great and brilliant day for the world. President Trump was tweeting all day. Well, not tweeting. He was Truth Social posting. And from Rapid Response, another one. Now that the Hormuz Strait situation is over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would need some help. Of course they come. And they offer the help at such a time that they are absolutely not needed. What scumbags, man. It's unbelievable. I told them to stay away unless they just want to load up their ships with oil. They were useless when needed. A paper tiger. Awful convenient now that we cleaned up everything and we bombed over 13,000 targets, just the United States alone. Israel probably bombed at least 13,000 targets of their own. Completely just neutralized Iran across the board militarily. And now that we've got the whole Strait of Hormuz thing all worked out, of course, the blockade is still in place. Looks like that might be moving forward over the weekend, in the coming hours even. But it's just, it's very convenient now that we've gotten all that taken care of. Oh, now NATO wants to show up and start providing some aid. Yeah, whatever. Fuck off. So anyway, this is from Eric Doherty, LMFAO. Now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is announcing a defensive military mission to protect the Strait of Hormuz shipping with France. Donald Trump did that. Our allies are useless. Leave NATO. Let's have a look.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. We just had a very productive meeting.
Yeah, I bet you did.
49 countries around a very simple message and proposition that the world needs the Strait of Hormuz fully open.
A bunch of assholes, man.
Keep prices down
Friggin'
for our
douchebags.
people and stop the global economic damage. So we've all agreed there was real unity in the meeting that we've just had. We want to see a return to talks and a lasting agreement, including the reopening of the strait.
You know what? With them coming out with these announcements, I would almost guarantee, I would probably place almost a Vegas bet that the Iran conflict is over. When it comes to bombing Iran, our planes flying over and hitting military targets, racking it up, 12, 13, 14, 15,000 military targets struck. I have a very strong feeling, almost guarantee that it's over at this point. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made this move. They would have just waited and waited and waited until they had guarantees that the whole conflict was pretty much done. Because otherwise, what if the UK and France moves their ships into the Strait of Hormuz and then stuff starts like popping off again? Israel backs off. They start firing, whatever missiles that they might have left, hidden underground, whatever. And then they start lobbing missiles over in other countries. And now the United States has to ramp up things again. Fighter jets flying off the aircraft carriers, bombing Iran again. Like in that case, the UK and France, they're in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz. They got to show up now. So anyway, let's continue.
Welcome the announcement that was made during our meeting, but we need to make sure that that is both lasting and a workable proposal. And if anything, it reinforces the need for the work that we've been doing this afternoon, because we're very clear that the mission that we're putting together is a defensive mission and that comes after a ceasefire. So that's why we brought the international group together to indicate how we will play our part. And there are a number of elements. First, to deliver the diplomatic push for peace based on the fundamental principle that the strait should be reopened immediately with no tolls and no restrictions. And there was absolute unity on those points across all of the states attending today. And that transcends the other differences that countries who are with us this afternoon may have, because the whole world needs to see a solution here. Second, that we need to manage the economic shock by avoiding unnecessary trade restrictions, supporting energy and food security, and supporting industry.
Economic shock.
Shipping can
as far as the United States is concerned, our oil is tanking in prices.
Thirdly, entry planning. I can confirm that along with France, the UK will lead a multinational mission to protect freedom of navigation as soon as conditions allow. This will be strictly peaceful and defensive as a mission to reassure commercial shipping and support mine clearance. We invite all
We already took care of that, buddy.
In the free flow
with the help of
global
Iran
trade to join us.
They're taking all the, well, they're not taking the credit,
their
but
readiness to contribute.
they're trying to sound all strong.
With a military planning conference in London next week.
We're going to clear out the
mines.
mines.
More detail on the composition of the mission, and over a dozen countries have already offered to contribute assets. But look, reopening the strait is a global necessity and a global responsibility. We need to act to get global energy and trade flowing freely again to bring down prices for working people. Our citizens need to see a return to peace and stability, and we will play our full part. Thank you, Emmanuel.
I mean, like they make themselves appear like they're strong and they're taking a hard stance now, and I just think this makes them look insanely weak, if anything, because like just basically every European country weren't there when we were asking for help. Just like President Trump said, we didn't need their help at all. Like we really didn't. We took care of business regardless. With or without them, we got shit done. And now that we're working with Iran, we're getting the Strait of Hormuz opened up. They're negotiating this weekend. Not sure if President Trump's going to be flying over to Pakistan. He told the press that he might do so if there's something ready to be signed, that he'd be willing to fly out to Pakistan. So I guess just, if you really want, you keep an eye out over the weekend. Pay attention to the White House's account, because he might be making a surprise trip out there. If you hear that President Trump is flying out to Pakistan, then the whole conflict with Iran is basically over. At least that is just in my own humble opinion. All right, so from the White House, let him cook. So we got this from the White House.
You are watching a master at work.
Uh-oh, that sounds like copyright. The White House. Oh, there you go. So yeah, they posted that today. All this winning, man. You get tired of winning so much? Good grief. All right, U.S. Central Command. The U.S. naval blockade continues. So as far as Central Command is concerned, the blockade is indeed continuing. It's not over just yet. And the blockade, again, only pertains to ships going into or leaving Iran. So I believe they're turning ships away that are trying to enter Iran's waters, and any ship trying to leave, they abruptly get turned back around and sent back to the port where they came from. Vigilant, ready, United States of America. And that's that from U.S. Central Command. Breaking now, the White House says President Trump has maximum leverage over Iran as a possible deal nears. And this is from The Story. The account airs Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox News Channel. So let's have a look at this.
But at the end of the day, the president all along, even before he ever took office, has been very clear. Iran, a country that for 47 years has chanted death to America, has threatened our troops in the region and all across the world, can never possess a nuclear weapon. So that is why he took on courageously an action in Operation Epic Fury, something that past presidents talked about but didn't have the courage to take on. Whereas now we have achieved all of our military objectives in that operation. Iran's ballistic missiles are destroyed. Their navy's at the bottom of the ocean. Their proxies are weakened. And that has now also given us maximum leverage to participate in these negotiations. So as he said, those continue with a lot of meaningful progress. And we will certainly keep you apprised as those updates come in.
Well, of course, this means that Iran and China are probably not going to be trading oil using Chinese yuan. And that was a deal that they signed back in 2021. And then they reaffirmed that deal, coincidentally, in September of 2025. So it was very recent. And they were going to start, I'm pretty sure that they already had been trading oil using Chinese currency and not the petrodollar, the USD. Anyway, from Overton, President Trump told Axios he expects a final deal between the United States and Iran to be secured in a day or two. U.S. and Iranian negotiators are set to meet this weekend to hammer out the agreement that ends the war. And we've got the back and forth, the quotes, so we'll hear from Peter Doocy.
Something President Trump has been predicting has come true. He said once the Strait opened, the price of oil would immediately drop. We have seen that happen throughout the course of today. The president is also putting out the word he thinks a final deal with the Iranians is possible within the next 2 days. Well, something President Trump has...
Incredible news, man. It moved quick. And like they said, this wasn't going to be like a 5-year, 10, 20-year quagmire. It wasn't going to be this endless war. Of course, the Democrats were peddling that every minute of every day. And now that the whole thing is over, of course they're going to be radio silent. The Democrats are. They're still going to have something to complain about. They're still going to be pushing that war powers nonsense, probably. Well, what if Trump is to start another war? What if he's to start a conflict with somebody else? So we have to strip him of his power. And effectively what? Remove the power from any future president to be the commander-in-chief, I guess? All right, Eric Daugherty, boom. Greg Gutfeld just pummeled the fake news trying to tear down Trump's Iran success. Let's hear from Greg Gutfeld.
A lot of people watch this show who are Democrats because this is the best show on television.
Because they want to cope and
but
see.
They hate watch it.
They want to hate watch it.
They have to ask themselves,
you beat
why
me to
do those guys on the 5 know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen? And why do we get everything wrong? And like, I don't have any special insider information. It's the filter that we use when we're looking at what Trump does. Our filter,
what, logic and common sense,
notes the patterns. This is what Trump does. Not a fascist, not bloodthirsty. He goes for free money on the table, decisively, low risk, high reward, getting.
Hang on, I don't know why it's glitching out like that. All right, let's try this again.
And his actions align perfectly with a movie-style outcome. This would make your life so better. Think about when Trump does something, how will it look like a movie? There's always a first act, there's always a second act, there's always a third act. 2016, 2020, 2024. The second act is always when things think like it's going to go bad, but then at the end, boom. I would say tariffs were in the second act. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm betting it's going to turn out pretty well. But you always notice it's just like a movie. Now you look at the other side, these people at home that are watching this and going, God, Greg looks great. It's got to be exhausting to be wrong every day. Like, you recently believed that a female illegal was being held captive by ICE, and it turned out that was a hoax, and you try to forget about it. You can go back a couple of years, the border agents whipping a Haitian immigrant. That turned out to be wrong. I'm jumping all over because there's so many. Trump was going to send troops into Iran. Hegseth was going to be fired any day. I could go on, but I won't. It amazes me with the constant misreading of reality. You might want to question the filter that you're using to look at the world. Nothing personal. It might not even be your fault, but this filter is destroying your perceptive abilities to know what is going to happen next. I am not a military or political genius, but I saw this. Right now, the media, when they're reporting it, are a coping industry. They're designed to produce an anti-reality so that all this great news is really bad news to help each other in the industry cope. The media is now like your worst enabling friend who keeps telling you that you don't have a drug problem and that your fly isn't really down. In this relationship, truth is now being replaced by therapy. In the long term, though, every day you're wrong.
Well, yeah, it's the rage bait media. It's the Trump derangement syndrome. If it bleeds, it leads. They've got to be ultra dramatic, and they just cannot give Trump a single win. They really can't, because they're scared to death. If they give him a win, then, oh my God, maybe Democrats aren't going to win in the midterms. And it's just that endless cycle that they've put themselves in. So anyway, hopefully that doesn't continue. I don't even know why that was going on. The reason that the video was glitching, I don't think that's happened before. I don't know. I don't have a whole bunch of stuff open on the computer. I've got my OBS and I've got the web browser, and that's basically about it. So not sure what's going on with that. I've got like 36 gigs of RAM on this computer, so I don't know. So hopefully that doesn't keep up. I was looking over on the other screen, like on my main screen, and it wasn't doing that. It was only doing it over in OBS. So I don't know. Maybe I got to play around with the settings over the weekend. I did get a new camera, so maybe that has something to do with it. It'll display up to 4K, which I think is way over the top, and that's probably gonna glitch out. I think I got it set at 1080p, so I don't know. Maybe because of that, I hope that was just a one-off, and that's not gonna keep happening in this video, because that's really gonna suck if it does. But anyway, so I guess I'll just hold my breath and hope for the best. From Breaking 911, from President Trump, we've had some very good discussions. Talks are going on. It'll go on over the weekend, and a lot of good things are happening. As soon as the agreement gets signed, that's when the blockade.
So we're having a big day. We'll see how it all turns out, but it should be good. We've had some very good discussions, and hopefully that subject that you like to talk about will be very good. And we've done a good job, but we'll see. Talks are going on. It'll go on over the weekend, and a lot of good things are happening. And that includes Lebanon, too.
There's been reporting today that there's still, Iran says there's significant differences.
Well, there could be. Let's see what happens. If there are, we'll have to straighten it out. But I don't think there's too many significant differences.
On the blockade, Mr. President, yeah. What will it take to end the blockade?
When the agreement is signed, the blockade ends. As soon as the agreement gets signed, that's when the blockade ends.
The media and the Democrats, they desperately want this to continue, to the point where if they had any power and any ability to do so, I would not put any pass at them for them to try to somehow sabotage this and try to get the conflict to continue. Because the Democrats, the mainstream media, they've been telling everyone watching that this is going to drag on for years. It's going to be a forever war. We have to invoke the War Powers Act to strip Trump of his war powers, so this doesn't continue. We have to end it immediately, and so on and so on. And look, like with the whole like $1.6 billion that Trump gave, or not Trump, that President Obama gave them in cash, like there's got to be a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that the U.S. wants. I don't know, maybe the establishment or the elites, the powers that be, the dark bureaucracy, whatever you want to call them. Maybe they want Iran to have nuclear weapons, and maybe that's how possibly North Korea got their hands on nuclear weapons. I don't know. I don't know. I don't got the answers for everything. What do I know? But anyway, one thing I do believe, at least, and that's that the mainstream media and the Democrats, they don't want this thing to end. They want it to keep going because they just want to throw more flack at Trump, and they're just crossing their fingers, hoping and praying that we accidentally bomb a civilian facility, a hospital, a school, or whatever, just so they can throw just that much more directly at Trump. I think that's what they're all about, in my opinion.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out The Swamp, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, with segments dropping on the daily. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.